um, get started tonight. I'm really excited about this class, but it is 8 o'clock, so we're going to jump in and get started. If I have not met you guys yet, I am Whitney, and this is my husband, Jeremy, hiding off in the corner over here. But we are part of your Young Living family, and I am just really excited for this Essential Oils 101 class tonight. So I hope you guys have your oils and you're ready to really jump in. If you guys have not met us yet, we got started with essential oils about 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years next month. We have 4 kiddos. We have twins who are 5. Our youngest son is 4. And we have a baby. This is Hadley. She is 3 months old. So we are just now getting back into the swing of things after having a newborn. And if you have children, you know that when you have kids, a lot of things do not go as expected. So tonight is one of those. So Hadley, of course, is hungry right at 8 o'clock. She typically eats way before 8 o'clock. So Jeremy has really kindly offered to step in for me tonight and to teach for you guys. And it is so much fun for me to see him teach, because when I first started with essential oils, he was not interested in essential oils at all. He was extremely skeptical and would not use my oils. He actually would tell me that, you know, those are just for you and the boys, and you guys can use those oils, and I'm going to use this other stuff over here. And so it's really fun 4 years later to get to see him jumping in and teaching classes with me and just really helping me out. So you guys are in for a real treat tonight to get to hear from Jeremy, because a lot of times it is me teaching. So this is a not a normal event, but he is extremely knowledgeable with essential oils. He has, when he decided to jump in with both feet. And he has done just as much research and studying as I have, and you guys are really in for a fun night tonight. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Jeremy and let him jump in with you guys, and I am going to go feed baby girl. Since that's what happens with kiddos. All right, you ready? Okay, have fun, guys.
All right, so now that she's built me up so much, I've got to really rock and roll now. So like she said, we got started about 4 years ago, and she is completely right that when she first got started that I didn't want anything to do with them. Actually, the way that we got started is some good friends of ours, super crunchy friends, very much in the all-natural lifestyle, which we were not. We were on the opposite end of the spectrum of whatever you call, you got crunchy on one side and not crunchy. There should be a term for that. Whatever that is, that's what we were. And finally, our friend convinced us just to give them a try, and they worked. Our little one that was having some respiratory issues at the time, it just did wonders. And so we were sold enough to get a kit. So my wife convinced me that she really wanted to do this, and I was like, fine, whatever. And for about 6 months, it was her thing. And all the while, I was struggling with all kinds of sinus issues. She finally convinced me to give them a try, and we played around with some things, found a combo that worked, and it was like magic for my sinuses. And that's finally what sold me on it. And so ever since then, I have just been in love with these oils, and I've learned so much over the years about how to get all of the chemicals that we weren't even aware of that were in our house, that we were using in our kids, that were just part of our everyday life. We began to learn about that they weren't as safe as we thought they were. And we began to learn about how to get those chemicals out of our life, find more natural alternatives, and improve our health overall. Because it's not just about, I'm not feeling well and so I need to do something about it, but it's about taking charge of our health in the first place and making good choices with what we eat and the products that we use in our house so that we have healthy body systems to begin with, and we don't have to get to where we're dealing with the yuck and trying to fight off something. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about how essential oils are a part of making that more natural choice, to start making better choices for your family, and to start getting some of those chemicals out of your life that may be having a lot bigger impact than what you realize. So to start with, we're going to talk about what are essential oils. Essential oils are the most powerful parts of the plant. They're distilled from shrubs and flowers, trees, roots, bushes, fruits, the rinds of fruits, the resins from trees, from herbs, from all types of natural compounds like that. And then these individual oils, so if you distill a lavender plant, just is that plant that's distilled consists of dozens or even hundreds of natural compounds. And those natural compounds are what works with our body to produce the effects that support our body systems and help keep us healthy and help us with emotional support. They're used extensively for emotions, for spiritual support. An oil in a diffuser can help soothe a child's day. It can help with stress after work. They can be used as an alternative to toxic cleaning. They can be used for almost everything in your house to live a more natural lifestyle. There's about 300 or so oils on earth, and they can be used to support practically every system in your body, your skeletal system, your muscular system, circulatory, all of the major systems in your body. If you can remember back to anatomy, all the systems that are in your body, there are oils that are designed to support all of these systems and to give your body what it needs to stay healthy, or if you dip below that wellness line, to help bring you back up to where you're in a good state of well-being. And even though there's about 300 oils on earth, you really only need 10 to 20 or so in order to really have everything that you need to really get started with essential oils. Now, essential oils, like I mentioned, you can start swapping literally every chemical in your house with a more natural alternative. And sometimes when you think about, I'm using something more natural, I'm using something that's organic, you tend to think that it's a little more expensive, but it's really not. When you really compare it, especially when we talk about the Thieves Household Cleaner, which we'll talk about later, it is the same, if not cheaper, to use a more natural, a healthy alternative to take care of you, your home, and your family. Now, when we say that there's 300 oils and they can support all of these body systems, that can seem really overwhelming. But the fantastic thing is you don't have to be an aromatherapist. You don't have to do years of research. You don't have to be an expert in any sense to enjoy the benefits of the oils. It's actually really easy if you just follow some simple steps of how to apply oils. All that you really need to know is that there's 3 ways that you can use oils. You can use what the English do, the English method, and that's just rub them on your skin. You can apply them topically. You can take some peppermint or some lemon or some lavender, and you can just apply it to your skin. The French, they cook with them, they ingest with them, they put them in their drinks, they put them in capsules, and they take them internally. And then there's a German method, which is just to diffuse and inhale them. That's putting them in a diffuser. It's opening the bottle and it's smelling them. It's just getting them in through your limbic system, because it's really, really efficient at passing this through your body. And they smoke it. They're a great way to use the oils. Now, when we talk about using oils, how do they actually get in our body? Now, there's studies that have been done on this, and tests show that oils will reach the liver, the heart, and the thyroid within 3 seconds when they're inhaled, and then they're in the bloodstream in about 26 seconds when you apply them topically. So they absorb very quickly into our bodies and are distributed to our body systems where they can start going to work. Now, once they're in your body, they will typically last in your system for 3 to 6 hours in a healthy body. And the really interesting thing is there's research that for people that are dealing with some type of issue where they're not fully healthy and well, their body will actually hold on to those longer. Your body will do everything that it can to get full use out of that before it finally eliminates them out of your body. Now, essential oils, even though just in the last few years they seem like they've really become a lot more popular, essential oils have been around for thousands of years. They're mentioned 1,100 times, or around 1,100 times, directly or indirectly in Scripture. The first record that we have of oils being mentioned is in the Bible in Genesis, when it mentions Joseph, the traders that took Joseph carrying spices, balm, and myrrh. So myrrh, which is an essential oil, is the first oil that we actually have a written record of. And they've been used all throughout history. You see them with the Babylonians and the Egyptians. They used them for beauty and for embalming. You have Pakistan and Rome that used them in the communal bathhouses. For thousands of years, these have been used. Especially if you want to learn more about oils in the Scripture, There's some fantastic books out there that go through all of the ways that essential oils are mentioned in scriptures. And then, even though they've been used throughout history, they really kind of came back into modern culture around World War II. Right around then is when you saw, especially over in Europe, that people were starting to rediscover essential oils. And so we don't have time to go into the history of it, but it's really interesting if you're into history to go and study the history of essential oils. But really in the last 50 years or so, they've come a long ways as we've learned more about the science behind the plants and the exact science behind distillation and how important quality is when we're talking about the effectiveness of essential oils. Now, when we talk about oils, especially when we talk about quality, it's important to talk about the different grades of essential oils, because you see oils all over the place, and very few of them are going to give you any kind of indication about what quality is actually in that bottle. Now, there's generally accepted 4 different grades of oils, and the first one is a grade A, or sometimes you hear it called a therapeutic grade oil. Now, what these oils are, it's plants that have been organically grown and then distilled at low temperatures, or more specifically, distilled at the exact temperatures to get the most constituents out of them as possible. Because you have to think, essential oils are distilled from plants. And it's just like your vegetables. If you heat your vegetables too much, all of the nutrients go out of them. It's the same way with essential oils. If they're distilled with too high of a temperature, they lose all of their beneficial properties. So grade A therapeutic oils, it's the process that the plants are grown, that they're organic, that there's no chemicals involved in the process, and the way that those oils are extracted when they're distilled specifically at a low temperature. Now, the next thing that you see is grade B, or food grade essential oils. And a lot of times, especially a lot of retail stores, you tend to see food grade essential oils. Now, a lot of these may contain synthetics, pesticides, fertilizers, chemical extenders, or carrier oils, things that dilute down the oil. And it's the same way as if you think about a lot of products that are in our store. You can buy food that's organic and it's not organic. And the food that's not organic doesn't have to adhere to standards that are as high. There's more chemicals that can be involved in the process. There's pesticides that can be sprayed on the plants. The quality is just not as good. And so a lot of the oils that you find in retail stores are this food grade essential oil. The next quality, the grade C, is the perfume grade essential oil. A lot of times some of them in stores, you'll see these sold just advertised as essential oils. And some people don't know any better, that they're a really low grade essential oil. The other thing you see them used in is in perfumes or other things just for their scent. Now, these oils are typically extracted through chemical processes using solvents like hexane, which is a known carcinogen. They're also typically diluted very heavily with alcohol. You actually smell them and you can smell an alcohol smell to them because they have to use the alcohol because of the chemicals they use in the extraction process. And then grade D is what's known as fluoro water. Now, typically this is just the remnants that are left over from a grade A oil, because when the oils are distilled from the plants using steam, that steam condenses and separates from the oil. So you have oil, and then you have the fluoro water, which is the leftovers from that distillation from the oil. Now, sometimes you even see these sold as essential oils, that they'll just use a little bit of that fluoro water because it has the smell. Then they fill it with other fillers and sell it as an essential oil. Now, all that being said, it's really important to know where your oils come from, because a lot of companies won't specifically tell you that it's a specific grade or a specific quality. So a lot of times it's on us as the consumer to do research on where our oils come from. And this is why we talk about Young Living specifically. This is actually why when we got started, we chose Young Living, is because someone explained to us how important it is to have that quality, because if it's contaminated with something else, then there's no point in using it in the first place. You're not doing any better replacing some other chemical in your life when you're just using an essential oil that has chemicals in it to replace it with. Young Living has something called the seed to seal process. And what this means is that they are extremely careful in how the oils are grown and how they are harvested and how they're distilled and packaged and how they end up at our doorstep. When we were out at the farm in Mona, Utah in June of last year, It was right before the lavender harvest. And we walked out in the lavender fields, and you expect to see these beautiful, perfect lavender fields. All the plants were pretty. The fields were full of weeds because Young Living doesn't use any kind of pesticides or herbicides on any of the plants. In fact, there's a crew out there that we were watching that were going through and hand weeding the field. It was just guys out there with knives that were out there hand weeding all of the weeds out of the fields to get it ready for harvest. When the oils are distilled, the only thing that's used in the distillation is water, is steam. Even cleaning out the distilleries between batches, they use peppermint oil to clean the big vats because they don't want chemicals touching anything in the process. The other thing that's really fantastic about Young Living and their quality when it comes close to harvest time, because it's so important to harvest these plants at just the right time, they will actually send their scientists out in the field every hour to test and see if the plants are ready to be harvested yet. So every step of the way, they're so careful to make sure that we're getting the best oils that we can possibly get in our house. So quality is super important when we talk about essential oils. So if it's so important, then why do companies sell oils more cheaply? And it's really like any other company. Is most companies are out there just to make money. If you spray your crop with pesticides, then you're not going to have pests that are eating them, and there's going to be more plants there to harvest in the end. If you use these chemical solvents, then you can get more oils out. If you dilute it, then that oil that you distilled can be taken farther. So any oils that you see that are cheaper, or it's like you get this big bottle of something for not much money, it's because they've done something in the process to lessen the quality or to dilute down the oils. Because at the end of the day, if you're holding to those high standards, it's like any kind of organic products. If you see an organic product that's a certain price and you see another one that's half the price, they didn't do something magical to produce it for half the price. It's because they cut quality somewhere. So quality is super important. So I talked a little bit about how essential oils are made. Some really interesting things, when we look at a little bottle of oil and, this little concentrated bottle of oil, sometimes we lose sight of the fact of what actually goes in to making it. Just some examples, there's an essential oil, a rose essential oil, and it takes 60,000 rose blossoms to provide 1 ounce of rose oil. 60,000 rose blossoms. And so if you think about if you had 60,000 roses sitting out, what that would smell like, and everything that's in 60,000 roses, that's what's in 1 ounce of rose oil. Lavender, 220 pounds of lavender will provide about 7 pounds of oil. Jasmine, which is actually one of the most expensive oils in the world, it takes 8 million hand-picked blossoms to produce 2.2 pounds of oil. Sandalwood trees, which is a Young Living farm in Hawaii that grows Royal Hawaiian sandalwood. These sandalwood trees need to be 30 years old and 30 feet tall before Young Living will harvest them. So there's a lot that actually goes into making these essential oils. Now, not all of them are, have these crazy statistics. A lot of them, because of just the way the plants grow, certain plants will produce more oils than others. So most of the oils are actually between $10 and $30 for the 5 ml oils, and some of them were the 15 milliliter bottles. And so a 5 milliliter bottle contains about 90 drops, and a 15 milliliter is about 250 drops. And so with each application being 1 to 3 drops, you can get a $10 or $15 bottle of oil and get 90 applications out of it. So for most of the oils, especially the ones that we're talking about tonight, it's really, really economical. Pennies for an application of oil. So, especially when you're thinking about your health and the products that you use, when you think about how little that it takes to be effective, it's really economical to use a more natural alternative than it is to turn to a lot of the chemical products that we use in our house. One of our favorite ones is a cleaner that Young Living makes called, they have a line that's made with thieves oil, which we'll talk more about thieves here in a little bit. But it's a all-natural, plant-based, toxic-free chemical that has replaced every other cleaner in our house. It's replaced our 409, it's replaced our Windex, it's replaced our scrubbing bubbles. Everything that we would use to clean our house, we use thieves cleaner for. totally natural, chemical free, and this cleaner costs about $1.50 a bottle to make. Like there's no way even buying the cheapest, nastiest chemicals that you can beat that price. So oils are super concentrated, and so just a little bit goes a long ways. And a lot of times it is cheaper to use a more natural alternative than it is to use the stuff that we're used to using. So all this coming up, when we talk about our essential oils, or we talk about how powerful they are, we have to talk about, are essential oils safe? And there's really only a few things that we have to look at when we're using essential oils. The first one is certain oils can be photosensitive, so it makes your skin more sensitive to the sun. Typically, it's your citrus oils. So if you put on some lemon, some grapefruit, some orange, it's going to make your skin a little bit more photosensitive, and so you may be a little more prone to sunburn. So, if you put it on, especially if you put it on your face or, your head, then just be careful when you go out in the sun so that you're not getting a sunburn from it. Anytime you use an oil too, especially if you use some that like peppermint that we'll talk about, sometimes it's a little more intense and it can make your skin just a little bit red. So if you ever feel that, if you feel just that irritation, your skin gets a little bit red, you can use a carrier oil like olive oil or jojoba oil or coconut oil to just put on there. It dilutes the oil down and slows the absorption, so there's not that irritation. And then the only other thing you ever really have to worry about with essential oils is you don't want to get them in your eyes. More than I care to count, I will put peppermint on, and then I will itch my eye, and then my eye is burning because I've got peppermint in my eye. So it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to feel good though. So don't put oils in your eyes. If you ever need to get them close to your eyes, use a Q-tip or something like that so that you can get it close, and then it's not on your hands where you accidentally touch your eyes later. And then the last thing on safety is if you're using them internally, there is a line of oils that we'll talk about more tonight that are they're specifically labeled for internal use. And if you see some of these bottles, they'll have the white labels. And they are specifically labeled and approved for internal use. So they are totally safe to use internally. Gail, I see you have raised your hand. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but if it is intentional, then feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. All right. So, yeah, that's really it for safety. I mean, we have used them on all of our kids from when we first got started. Our youngest was 14 months old. And then with Hadley, that you saw at the very beginning of this, it's now 3 months old. We used them on the day that she was born. Essential oils are very gentle, very safe, and we've never had any concern at all for using them on ourselves or our kids. Now, I mentioned carrier oils. So there's two types of oils. There are essential oils that are distilled from plant material that have very small molecules that absorb very easily into your body, and they have very beneficial properties. And then you have fatty oils like olive oil or coconut oil, typically oils that you might cook with. And those molecules are much, much larger. They're still absorbed by your body, but the absorption rate is slower. And so when you put a carrier oil on, it will combine with the essential oil and will slow the absorption of that. So if it's something that it feels too intense, or if it's just something you need to spread out on a larger area, then a carrier oil is a great way to apply essential oils so that it spreads farther and it absorbs slower. Now, when you, Gail, were you going to jump in? All right. So I think the only other thing I want to say on safety is, some people are nervous about using their oils internally. And the only thing I would say is to think about what you're already using in your body every day without even thinking about it. Right now, if you want to, go open any cabinet in your house, flip it over, and look at the ingredient list on your cleaning product or on a supplement that you take or on anything that you find in your cabinets, and read the ingredients on there or read any warnings that are on there. The products that we use every day in our lives, typically we can't pronounce a lot of the ingredients, or it specifically has some kind of warning about how we shouldn't do it internally, or we shouldn't let kids have it, or we've got to keep it away from our eyes because it has some kind of danger to it. The great thing about essential oils, take a bottle of lemon, and I put lemon in my water all the time. The only thing that's in here is lemon. Like literally, this is lemons. They take the lemon peels, the lemon rinds, and they press them, and the oil that comes out of that is what's in this bottle right here. Like there's nothing but lemon in here. And the same thing with any of these, with lavender or with peppermint. It's literally just the oil that comes from a plant that's in there. And so it is so much better and safer than so many of the other products that we already use in our lives already. Now, that's actually what I just talked about. Young Living oils have just one ingredient: lemon, oregano, tangerine. That means no additives and no yuck. There's nothing else in there that we have to be worried about using on ourselves or our family. So let's talk about oils specifically. So what we're going to go through tonight is Young Living's Premium Starter Kit. So it's the 11 oils that are really kind of your baseline starter. That is your basic kit that gives you everything you need to support your body systems, to start getting chemicals out of your life, and to make better choices for you, your home, and your family. So we're going to start with frankincense. Frankincense is one of the most popular oils. We always have frankincense in our house. It is one of the top oils for skin. In fact, you're seeing a lot of skincare products that are starting to include frankincense because it is so fantastic for your skin. It also has all kinds of great support for your emotional system and your nervous system. One of our favorite blends, especially for our kids' brain power, frankincense, is one of the most important oils that's in this. It's also a great oil for any kind of spiritual awareness. It's great to diffuse during prayer or any other time just to help with grounding and focus. Another oil that gets a lot of use in our house is lavender. Lavender is a oil that's fantastic for relaxation, to diffuse, to put in a bath, to put on your kids' feet before bed, put it on your laundry. Really, really great for relaxation. It just has a calming, soothing aroma. It's also really great for supporting skin. A lot of people call lavender the Swiss Army knife of essential oils because it has a ton of uses. Lavender gets a lot of use in our house. Purification is another great oil. Purification is great for just getting rid of smells. Like we'll put it in the bottom of our trash can. We'll put it on our kids' stinky shoes. Great for anywhere getting rid of any kind of bad smell. It's also great for putting in like a skin moisturizer, or you can just massage it on your feet, or before you go outside, especially in the summer. Great to just put on your skin. Just helps to keep away all the little pests that can be irritating when you are outside. I skipped one. Let me back up. Peppermint. Peppermint is another one that I love to put in my water. Actually, I was drinking this most of the day today at work. It's great for digestive system support. So any kind of stomach upset, really, really good to do peppermint. You can either rub it on topically, put it on your stomach, or put a couple of drops in a glass of water. And then it's kind of my go-to oil for any kind of digestive issues. Let's see, what is next? Thieves. Thieves is one that I mentioned earlier. That's in the line of cleaners, the Thieves products. Thieves is a blend of oils that's specifically formulated to help support your respiratory system, helps maintain overall wellness. It's great immune system support. It's one that it has a cinnamony smell. That's kind of a hard word, cinnamony smell. And it has, you can smell the clove in it. It reminds me a lot of Christmas. And so that's one thing that I really love about the Thieves cleaner that uses the Thieves oil, because it has this great smell when you clean your house with it, wiping your countertops down, your floors, your bathrooms. Thieves smells really, really good. Stress Away, which I hope I have. Yes, I do. Stress Away. Stress Away gets a lot of use in our house, especially with 4 little kids. Stress Away is a blend that it has lime and vanilla in it and just smells fantastic. I love Stress Away. Stress Away is one that I love to put a little roller top on, and it's just great and roll it on the back of your neck. Stress Away is awesome. Lemon we talked a little bit about. So lemon is one of the citrus oils that is really just, it's the rinds of lemon, the oil has been pressed out of those. And so it just tastes like lemon. So it's really great to put in food, to add a drop to water, great for digestive system support and immune system support. Really simple, basic oil, but one that I always carry with me. I love lemon. Copaiba is a really unique oil because this is one that actually comes from a tree in the Amazon. So it's not one that's distilled from a plant. It actually gets tapped from a tree. It is a great oil just to support overall wellness. It supports practically every body system. It's one that we use daily just for general body support. Really, really good things for your body. It's also really great for your skin. Really calming, soothing, for any kind of skin irritation. So really good topically, or if you do it internally, Copaiba is a really, really great oil. Panaway is one that is another blend specifically to soothe muscle aches and pains. So if you slept funny or you worked out, your muscles are a little sore, Panaway is a blend that's great just to rub on and just helps soothe and ease those muscles. Another one, especially with little kids, that gets a lot of use in our house is RC. RC is a fantastic blend that's specifically for respiratory system support. We'll diffuse it in our kids' room. We will put it on their feet before bed, or on us too, if we get a little congested. But really, really great for immune support, respiratory system support. And it's just, especially when you're congested, it just feels good. Like, if you have a bottle of RC, smell it. If you've got a friend that you can borrow RC from, just smell it, and it just feels good on your respiratory system just to breathe that in. And then the last one is Digize. So Digize is another blend that's specifically for digestive system support. So this is one that you can use with peppermint. You can put a couple of drops in water, or you can take it in a little vegetable capsule. Just put a couple of drops in, great for any kind of digestive issues. So that's the 11 oils that come in the Premium Starter Kit. Now, why is it? I mentioned that we got started 4 years ago. So why is it that we went from knowing nothing about essential oils and having all kinds of chemicals in our life 4 years ago? Now I'm sitting here and I am talking into a computer and going through a PowerPoint slide about essential oils. The thing is that as we've learned about how big of effect all of these chemicals have in our lives, it's one of those things that we can't help but talk about how important it is for people to take charge of their health and not to just trust something because some store sells it and we just assume that it's been researched as safe. Chemical-free living is so important to us now because we've seen the effects of a life filled with chemicals on ourselves and on people that we know, and just looking at the health of society in general. The number 2 cause of death right now in the U.S. is cancer. That's crazy. The number 2 cause of death in the U.S. is cancer. More than 1,500 people die each day from cancer. That's 1 in 3 cases, and they're generally linked to poor diet, physical activity, weight, or chemical exposure. The American Cancer Society says that only 5 to 10% of cancer cases are actually due to some kind of genetic defect. So that means that 90 to 95% of cancer cases are completely under our control. And that's on us. That's on the choices that we make, the products that we bring into our houses, the foods that we eat, the things that we use in our families and our home. The crazy thing, one of the big things that we learned as we've been on our journey, is that there are 1,100 toxic ingredients, 1,100 toxic ingredients that are banned in Europe, and there's only 8 in the US that are banned. 1,100 chemicals in Europe that are banned, and only 8 of those are banned in the US. We talked about earlier how quickly things are absorbed into our body. 26 seconds after exposure, these chemicals can be found in measurable amounts in the human body. The average woman applies 300 chemicals to her body in a day. And men, I suspect, are not far behind that. About the only difference between, the chemicals that men and women use are cosmetics. So all of us use tons of chemicals. 80 of those before breakfast. The top most dangerous chemicals in our home: air fresheners, like plug-ins or candles, full of all kinds of toxic ingredients. There's also our cleaning supplies, the things that we wash our dishes with. I mean, think about the stuff that we clean our counters with, and then we put food on them, and then we eat that food right after we put those chemicals on it. You read the back of that bottle, what does it say? Don't ingest, call poison control. That's the stuff that we're putting on our dishes and on our countertops, and then we're eating off of them later. There's all kinds of things in personal care products: hairspray, gel, shampoo, deodorant. Most deodorant that you buy in the store has aluminum in it. Aluminum, there's studies that are being done that are linking aluminum to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And that stuff we used for 70 years for slathering in our lymph nodes, and then we're wondering why we have health issues as we get on later in life. Another really big pollutant in our house is laundry detergent and fabric softener. We wash our clothes in this, and then it sits in our skin all day, and our body absorbs all of those chemicals that we put into our clothes. There are 100,000 chemicals in the market today. There's an act signed in 1976 called the Toxic Substance Control Act. And what that did is that grandfathered all of these chemicals in. Chemicals that they were never tested for safety. There was never some governing body that signed off on it and said it's okay to include this in this product. They were all grandfathered in. And so most of these chemicals in our products, we have no studies that have been done to show any potential side effects of this. Dr. Samuel Epstein, who is the chairman of the Cancer Prevention Coalition, says it's unthinkable that women would knowingly inflict such exposures on their infants and children and themselves if products were routinely labeled with explicit warnings of cancer risks. But they're not labeled. There's so many products that have known carcinogens in them, and there's no label on the packaging to tell us. The only way we know is if we will read the labels and do the research ourselves on these chemicals. Since the 1940s, prostate cancer is up 200%, thyroid cancer 155%, brain cancer 70%, and the American Cancer Society estimates a 50% rise in cancer rates by 2020. It's out of control. And this is why we get so passionate about it, because we've learned this, and it's like one of those things that it hits you like a brick wall in the face of, why did nobody tell me about this before? And so we get really passionate about it because it's so important. And it scares me that this is the kind of stuff that we were using in our house and on our kids and on our family. With all of this, what happens when our body gets chemically overloaded? Sometimes it is something catastrophic like cancer, but sometimes it's something that seems a little mundane, stuff that we've accepted as just a normal part of life: lethargy, inability to focus, sleep trouble, chronic inflammation, unexplained pain, skin issues, stress, fear. All the stuff that we've just decided is normal are signs of our bodies being bombarded with all these chemicals. I hope you would agree with me that God created our bodies to function well. He didn't create them for sickness and for disease and for being tired and being stressed out. It's because of these things that we've brought into our lives, a lot of times unknowingly, not knowing the effects that it has on our body. When we got started, we were right there in the middle of all of that, and we didn't know any better. But over this journey, starting with this starter kit that I talked about tonight, that's where we started. And we learned more about how to make better choices with what we use in our house. Just these baby steps that we've taken over time. Just these 11 oils that I've talked about, the most common oils. It's a starting place. Every essential oil that you use is one less chemical that you're potentially getting out of your life. Are you ever going to be totally chemical free? No, probably not. But you can still be the gatekeeper of your house. You can control what comes into your house and what you and your family uses. So, if that feels overwhelming, just know that there's such an awesome community here. The people that are here on this call, if you haven't used essential oils before, then someone invited you to this. There's someone that cared enough to say, hey, you should check this out because there's maybe something better out there for you. And the way to get started with that is with this premium starter kit. It's the only thing that's on Young Living's website that's literally half off. Like if you take the, I think I have a slide here. I'm getting so passionate that I'm forgetting about my slides. So, if you look at the starter kit and you take out the diffuser, so just set the diffuser aside for a second, you're getting 11 bottles of therapeutic grade essential oil for $70. Like 11 different bottles for $70. You go look at any health food store and you look at what they're selling their oils for, and even with them being subpar quality, like you're going to get 2, 3 maybe for $70. So it's an amazing bargain to be able to start getting chemicals out of your life. These little 5 ml bottles have about 90 drops in them. So it's 90 applications for one of these, and you've got 11. So it's 990 applications for $70. That's a pretty fantastic deal. And then there's all kinds of other stuff too that I don't have time to get into tonight, but there's Ninja Red, which is an awesome drink for antioxidant support. You get the diffuser, which I didn't talk about that much either. If you can see I've got a diffuser going back here behind me. And so it comes with that, which makes it really, really easy to use the oils aromatically. You get a 24% discount on your oils for the rest of your life. And then all you have to do to maintain that is at least once a year, you've got to make a $50 purchase. So other than that, for life, you get a 24% discount. So what do you do to get started? So if you have not started with Young Living, then go to youngliving.com. On the top right, you'll see a link that says Become a Member. On that page, you'll see where you can enter the sponsor and enroller number of the person that referred you to this call tonight. The next screen, you can pick out your starter kit that has the 11 oils. You can pick the diffuser that you want. And then from there, you just put in your contact information, payment information, and that's it. It's super easy to do. And so doing that, you get the 11 oils, everything we talked about tonight: peppermint, lemon, thieves, copaiba, digest. You get lavender, purification, RC, frankincense, pan away, and stress away. So 11 oils plus the diffuser, plus the samples, the Ninja Red packets. You get little vials so you can share them with people, and you get a 24% discount for life. So it's a pretty fantastic deal that you get. I share all of this, like I said, because I'm really passionate about this now because it's made such a huge difference in our family. And talk to anybody else that has been using oils for any period of time, and I promise you they'll tell you the same thing. When you start getting chemicals out of your life and you start replacing with more natural alternatives, you'll see a massive difference in the way that you feel, in your emotional state, in the health of your family. You don't realize how big an effect these chemicals have on your life until you've been on the other side and you can see what it's like without being clogged with all these terrible chemicals that we use. And so with that, I'm going to open it up. If there's any questions, you can type them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself, ask any questions that you have, and that's it. $15 seconds. Any questions? Oh, there's one. What is my favorite carrier oil? So a lot of times I'll either use just olive oil or I will use coconut oil. A lot of the shit we do, we'll get a little, just a little glass dropper. You can get them at health food stores. You can get them on Amazon, and it's just a glass dropper. It's got a little dropper in the top that you squeeze and get drops out. And so we'll just put some olive oil in there. And so if we ever need to use a carrier oil, then it's really easy. You're not pulling this big bottle of oil out to try to get a carrier oil out of. If sometimes that can feel a little heavy, there's a lot of really great lighter oils. You can use grapeseed oil, you can use avocado oil, you can use jojoba. All those are going to be a little more expensive, but they're a lighter oil that absorbs quickly and you don't have as much of an oily feeling. Young Living also has a really great carrier oil. It's just a V6 oil that's also a really great light oil, absorbs really quickly, and we use that one a lot also. All right, last call. Any questions? Okay, yeah, we started using avocado oil for internal use. Helps cut down on upsetting our stomachs. Yeah, that's definitely something too. If you're taking them internally, like if you're using one of the vegetable capsules, a lot of times people will fill up the rest of the capsule with a carrier oil. And especially if you have a more sensitive stomach, a heavier oil like an olive oil may not sit as well with you. So using something like avocado oil, that's the lighter oil, a lot of times can help if you get some kind of stomach upset if you're using a heavy carrier oil.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be on.
Good stuff. Hey, I was going to tell you, I met another lady today that just really made me so thankful for you and Whitney and so many others in our Young Living group. At my physical therapy appointment today, I was sharing about Young Living, and come to find out, she had a kit, and she had just got notice that she was about to be inactive, and she had all kinds of questions about how to use the oils, and it just was groups out there where they get the starter kit, and they excuse me. And they don't have a team to support them, or they don't have a Facebook group to support them and continue to ask questions. So really grateful for you guys to keep teaching and sharing all that you know, because like I said, I've met two now that they love them, just didn't realize how to use them or have the support that we do.
And that's one of my favorite things actually being involved in this is there's such an amazing community. I mean, just even the small things, just the Facebook group, just there's so many fantastic people in it that you can bounce ideas off of and ask questions. And then, you know, even though that we're doing this online tonight, you know, there's still people that are here, that we're here together, and having that support around you makes a huge difference, because especially when you're just getting started, if you haven't done this research on your own, and I'd say most people haven't, like that's weird. I'm weird to read this stuff because most people don't realize, and to be able to have those resources, you know, in our team, in our community, makes it so much easier when you feel overwhelmed that you read something and it's scary and you don't know what to do, or, you know, even as simple as I got this bottle of purification, I don't know what to do with it. Just having those people there to bounce ideas off of is fantastic. I love the community we have in Young Living.
Hi, Jeremy. Sylvia.
Hey, Sylvia.
I can't tell you how many times I've sent Rosie text messages late at night. So our group here has been extremely supportive in everything that I've been trying to experiment with the oils, and it's awesome. I love that you guys are doing this class. I've been to one 101 class already with others, but learn something new every time, and I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, I really love to be on here, because even though this information isn't new to me, it's such a good reminder that the stuff that it's easy to get complacent and think, well, it's not really that big of a deal. And then you hear this stuff again, and it's wakes you up to how important it is, the choices that you make. At the risk of embarrassing Rosie, since she's on here tonight, you've got a fantastic resource there. Rosie, I love that Rosie's on our team. She's so knowledgeable. She's so passionate about helping people. I have no doubt about, you know, that Rosie's been there to help you, because she's fantastic. She's a really great resource to have. All right, last call, 5 seconds. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you all so much for being on here tonight. It was great to have you. And, you know, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to myself, reach out to Whitney, or whoever it was that referred you here tonight. You know, reach out to them with any questions, because the reason that we're here, the reason that anyone may have invited you here is just because we care about this stuff, and we want to be able to educate people and help people make good decisions with their health for themselves and for their families. So definitely don't hesitate to ever reach out if you ever have any questions. So thanks again, you all. It's great seeing you, and we'll talk to you later.